Trudy. 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 Okay, now it says waiting. No, it's a different link. We're on a different link. I understand that, but I'm telling you what the website says. The website says waiting for Maryland Governor's Office to start the meeting. I know, I see that. And it says 5 o'clock, not 6 o'clock. Yep. Yep. Well aware. Okay. Oh, there's a wait. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Time out. 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 The website says waiting for Maryland Governor's Office to start the meeting. I know, I see that. And it says, okay. Okay, now we're better. Okay. All right, before we call the meeting to order, I would like to ask our CDIs if they could please send me a message prior to them switching, maybe 2 minutes before they switch, so I don't overlook the need to switch within our access team. Can you please warn me when you're getting ready to switch? Okay, just private message me via the chat. All right. I'd like all the board members to please come on screen. I think everybody's here. Let me do a quick head count. Okay, fantastic. Everybody looks like they're here. Much better. All right, hello and good evening. I'd like to call our meeting to order at 6:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a pretty robust agenda for this evening. If people are reaching out about the location of the meeting, please use the link that is located in the chat. Please forward that to individuals so that they can follow along on YouTube. Before we proceed with the meeting, I need to make a brief statement based on our previous meeting that took place on the 26th of June. Okay, and I'm actually going to read verbatim. Okay, we moved into emergency closed session on the 26th of June, and we were in compliance with the Open Meetings Act as we knew it, those requirements. That being said, there was a statement missing from our agenda. It is on our current agenda where it speaks to the provision that allows us to move into the Open Meetings Act. However, we recognize that it was not documented on the agenda for the June 26 meeting. That statement, and I will read directly from COMAR, is a portion of this meeting may be closed pursuant to the Maryland Code General Provision Article Section 3-305B. Okay, and I already sent the language onto the interpreter so that they would be able to interpret it verbatim. Like I said, that was missing from the previous agenda, so it might not have been considered an emergency closed session. However, in practice, we were in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. And we also have informed the Open Meetings Act office. All further agendas will have that particular piece of COMAR documented on it, as you can see at the bottom of tonight's agenda. All right, that being said, has the board had the opportunity to review our agenda for this evening? Okay, is the agenda approved? How about minutes from our June 26 meeting? A motion to approve, please. Okay, motion by Leslie. Okay. I move that we approve the minutes from the 26th. I need a second. Seconded by Sue. Call the question. Those in favor of approving the meeting minutes of June 26th as read, show of hands. Opposed? Okay, seeing none, motion carries. All right, now we're going to move into chair updates. Yes, Leslie. You're on mute. Okay. Can I make a motion real quick?
Hi,
Go ahead.
to just close the discussion we're talking about the public, I want to close the meeting and make a vote for that. Ethan?
Okay. Ethan, can we do that?
I do have many concerns. This is Ethan. I'm not sure if we can do this publicly here. I first have to inform the public for the reasons of closing this meeting first.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion and vote so so that we can speak to what we voted on in the last closed session.
Yes, I do realize that I actually have to put it there on the agenda. You have to provide a reason as to why you are closing it.
Okay, it says a part of this meeting may move into closed session.
As a lawyer, you have up to 15 reasons to list as to why the meeting must be closed, and they must all be included into that.
Okay, so we don't want the public to be aware of what we voted on in the last closed session.
And I actually don't see it there on the agenda.
I'm telling you, that's the reason for the motion.
I do have a few concerns about compliance with the meeting.
Open Meetings Act. All right. All right, quickly. All right, if I could have everybody's attention. Okay, let's hold on that particular concern and that motion until later, if that's okay.
I withdraw my motion.
All right. Thank you, Leslie. Much appreciated. Okay, so first and most importantly, I'd like to welcome our newest member to the board, Miss Paige Franklin, who is our representative from the deafblind community. We are thrilled that she's joining us, which leaves one more seat that is still vacant, which is the PCRID representative, the Potomac chapter of RID representative. PCRID has submitted a name. That person has gone through the application process, and now they are waiting on the Governor's Office of Appointments. Okay, once it's official, we will make sure we announce who that person is, and we're also going to be thrilled when that comes to fruition to have that person joining us. I can't speak to a timeline for that process, but I can tell you that that person is heavily involved, has been involved in our working groups up until this point, is a longstanding member of the community, and I think they will be a great addition to the board once they are officially approved as a member. Now, we have gotten a lot of emails. We're going to speak to that later, but a lot of people have been reaching out asking where the regulations are. We understand the concerns. Those folks who watched our June meeting know that we missed the deadline due to staffing issues at ODHH to submit the regulations. We've already had that conversation. So we are working very closely with the Assistant Attorney General's office, the AAG, our representative being Ethan Sonnenstrahl, who is joining us this evening. We've worked with him very closely on doing revisions to the regulations. They have lent their expertise in providing some edits, and they've also come back to us with some questions. And that was today is the 21st, so that was August 9th, approximately 2 weeks ago. No, a week and a half ago, give or take. Those questions made the necessary revisions and edits, and tonight we will double check to make sure there are no additional questions coming from the AAG's office, and we are expecting, optimistically, to do the final vote on the regs this evening. And then that final submitted copy will be printed in the Maryland Register for a time frame of 1 month, where it is considered available for open comment. So a lot of people have been concerned about the lack of information. My recommendation to you is check the ODHH website. Oftentimes, when we submit information, it takes a little bit of time to get things posted. So please feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at trudy.suggs@maryland.gov for updates if it goes too long without seeing any additional information. I try to respond as quickly as possible. And I think it's important that everyone is aware that communications within the community and the website are outside the purview of the board. Okay, since the last meeting in June, we have had no way of communicating with the community with the exception via ODHH. And we're going to discuss that more later on this evening as well. So stay tuned for published regulations. Now, as it relates to the meeting minutes, I do recognize and realize that one of us might need to make a motion to do some brief revisions because each motion that is brought forth during a meeting needs to be numbered. For example, motion number 2024 dash, et cetera. That's usually how it's codified. That way we can easily reference when a motion was made and which motion is being referred to. I recognize that hasn't been our practice up until this point because we were starting from scratch. So we're trying to set up some standards before the next group of board members takes over. So I need someone to make a motion that we go back and edit all of the meeting minutes to add motion numbers to all motions using a very specific format as brought forth by the state. Richie.
Hi, yeah, here for the board, we do approve.
I make a motion that we go back and revise all of the previous minutes to add motion numbers to make sure that they're standardized. Okay,
Does
so
anyone second
second,
that?
Paige, thank you. Your first second, congratulations. Those in favor of Richie's motion and Paige's second to, hold on one second. Oh, sorry. I think we're having an interpreter switch. There we go. So who is in favor of Richie Bryant's motion to retroactively edit and add motion numbers? Hold on, I haven't even finished repeating the motion. Retroactively add motion numbers to all meeting minutes from the first meeting up until now for the purpose of consistency and quality assurance, et cetera, and so forth. All those in favor, show of hands. Opposed, none. Motion carries. Okay, so we will make sure we take care of that. Thank you. Okay, interpreters ask that we please follow turn-taking etiquette of raising our hands, not just for our CDIs, but for our hearing interpreters as well, to make sure everybody can follow along with the conversation. Bear with me while I check my notes. I want to take a moment to emphasize. So apparently there's still a lack of awareness in the community that we approved a 6-month grace period that will begin January 1st to July 1st of 2025. During that 6-month grace period, nobody will be penalized for not being licensed and continuing to operate in the state of Maryland as an interpreter. And we want to give people time to go through the application process to receive their license without feeling rushed. Apparently, there's a lack of awareness in the community about that. Again, that's why I emphasize that we had no communication as a board with the community except via ODHH. So we did post that in the minutes on the website. So please refer to the ODHH website for that information. And please help us by spreading the word. There is an approved 6-month grace period that will begin January 1, 2025 as it relates to the licensure requirement. Jacob wants to add something related to the Open Meetings Act. Jacob?
Yeah, I do have a date on the,
Ethan has an update on the OMA.
so I just want to go back and say you can have that revision for the closed meeting act. It has to be for the next meeting where you will then insert the information for the closed meeting. So there are two different options for that. You have to add the language there.
So just to clarify, you have to have a written statement plus the reason for it needs to be posted in the next agenda. Written statement meaning in the minutes?
The written statement, you would be explaining the reason as to why you are be closing the meeting for today,
And that would be in the minutes for the
and
closed
that would be for
meeting?
the next meeting.
Okay,
And then
sure.
also for today, closing, you have to have a statement ready. It can be via sign, and you all will be voting that you will be closing the meeting.
All right, Leslie, do you want to proceed with your original motion or would you like to wait on that for a minute?
I think it's important to go ahead. Ethan, quick question. I just want to clarify something. Am I posing a statement or can you clarify that? I motion to include the statement to inform that we are closing the meeting for 2 minutes to vote on the previous meeting. Is that correct? Can you explain again what is supposed to be
Okay,
done?
actually, Richie's raising his hand. Board recognizes Richie.
Hey, Leslie. Yeah, you can make a motion. And after that, then you have to explain the reason as to why.
Is that correct, Ethan? Double check us.
This is Ethan here again. Yeah, to go back to your question, it has to be a written statement that is part of the motion. And the written statement itself has to provide one of the 15 reasons or justifications based by law 3.350. So there are a number of 15 reasons listed, and you have to include one of these into your reasons as to why you need to close the meeting. I am curious as to why you guys would like to propose to close the meeting.
Okay, so I am making a motion to move into closed session for the purposes of the board to vote to announce what we discussed during the June 26th closed session meeting.
I see. To clarify, the meeting minutes are to close, the
For the
meetings are
closed
to close
session.
for the closed session for today, and it would be for open meeting, not to close the meeting. And the meeting minutes will be publicly available, but with limited information.
We've already done that.
You can go ahead and vote on that in open meeting.
Okay, is Leslie's motion valid to clarify?
I motion that the June 26th board meeting be closed session for deciding.
That the meeting minutes become public. That's my motion. Jacob really wants to say something and he's taking notes. I think he's drafting. Janice, you okay? Can you say that one more time, Leslie?
I motion the board to vote to announce closing
To
session
announce the closed session minutes.
minutes for the June 26th closed session meeting.
Second? Do I have a second?
Richie Bryant?
All right, second by Richie. Those in favor? Oh, don't make me repeat the whole motion, please. Just if you're in favor, I have to go back and watch the captions. All right, those in favor of Leslie's motion to announce the contents of the June 26th closed session meeting minutes. Show of hands. And I'm just
Correct.
checking with Leslie. Those in favor of that motion? I'm waiting for Jacobs. So those in favor, show of hands. All right, so it looks like it's unanimous. Motion carries. At this point, does that mean I announce the content? Let me get the letter. Leslie?
I think it's very important for us to go ahead and announce it now.
All right, give me 1 second to get the letter. Okay. So I have the letter in front of me, and I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'm just going to go ahead and provide a summary. Actually, let me double check that I have the right letter up on screen. Okay. Okay. We sent a letter to our Deputy Chief of Staff, Pakuna Awalu Achiwa. Okay. And that was dated June 26, 2024. In that letter, we talk about that last night, the board voted a vote of no confidence in the director of the governor's office of the deaf of hard of hearing, Ursula DeBerry. That letter to Pakua states that I, Trudy, had a meeting with Pakua on the 20th, and then, of course, on the 24th. There was a follow-up to that meeting, sending a list of escalating concerns about Director DeBerry's conduct and capabilities in a variety of areas, which I will now list: communication, transparency, staffing, timeliness and adherence to deadlines, and integrity of the process. That letter was sent as a follow-up, specifying with more detail on all of those talking points. The board looks forward to an improved relationship with the governor's office of the deaf and hard of hearing moving forward. Hold on, bear with me. Okay, signed with CCs to, yes, and it was CC'd to Director DeBerry, as well as all the members of the board. So vote of no confidence, unanimous. And again, bear with me as I find my place in my agenda. The state did respond, saying that they support Director DeBerry continuing to work in her position. Anything else that I need to speak to when it relates to this? So this letter will be included in the next meeting minutes. All right, are we ready to move on along with our agenda? Now, I also want to emphasize real quickly, the vote of no confidence. Okay, at that point, Paige was not yet a member of the board, so she was not participatory in that vote. The other board members, with the exception of Paige, did vote, as well as Kaylee Teixeira, because she was still a member of the board at that time. Okay. Now, I'm going to hold on the follow-up with ODHH until it's time for their report. 2 or approximately 3 weeks ago, we asked Director DeBerry to send us a copy of her report for this evening's meeting so that it could be attached to our meeting minutes, as well as for the interpreters. We did not receive that. Director DeBerry earlier this evening already committed to giving us, moving forward, her reports 24 hours prior to the meeting. Okay, she says that she doesn't have too much to report this evening, but she does want to make a few short comments as the contents of report. So we're going to allow Director DeBerry or her proxy to give a report on behalf of ODHH. And I'm not sure who's going to be providing that report, but they're free to come on screen. Okay, there she is. Ashla, are you going to give your report?
Sorry, just waiting for the interpreter. Are we all good? Thank you so much, and good evening to the board and everyone here. Thank you all for allowing me this opportunity to join you for the SBSLI, excuse me. First, I would like to give the ODHH, thank you for your support for this evening. First, I'd like to introduce the new staffer who is with us this evening, who will be the administrative assistant. I don't want to confuse that with our executive assistant because this position is separate. So this position for Diamond Halliburton, if you don't mind coming on, Diamond. Hello, everyone. My name is Diamond Halliburton. My name sign is seen like the D on the hand or the D bouncing. It's very nice to meet everyone.
Welcome. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, thank you. I came on last year from Towson University.
Oh, Towson University?
My major there at Towson was English.
What is TU? Could we clarify that?
Sorry, I apologize. That's Towson University. My major at the time was English and journalism. I had a minor in marketing. And I'm very happy to be here with you all this evening.
Is this your first day?
Yes, it is my
Wow.
first day today.
Wow. Well, welcome.
Thank you so much, Diamond.
You can go ahead and take your screen down now.
So there will be an update on the portal, and it'll be very brief. When I mean portal, I'm referencing the website. The website will be developed through under a portal one stop, and that's under the state of Maryland. And that's their system for applying for the licensure. There will be an area for the interpreter, for sign language interpreters to apply. And also, they plan to have meetings on every Thursday. There will be a link developed for a shared with the, there, excuse me. We're currently waiting for a link to be shared with the board to go in and test that, share feedback for that. The Department of Information and Technology will be leading that for 2 weeks from today. Next, I'd like to move on to providing more information. We recognize our responsibilities to provide feedback. We will continue to have communication and open dialogue with you all.
Can you introduce Tania?
We've already had a one-on-one with you, I believe. She's already had
I
a
have
one-on-one
not.
with you.
I have not. Some of the members of the board have not had the chance to meet
Oh,
her,
I see.
as
Okay.
well as introducing her to the community. Okay.
Of course. So let me go ahead and wrap up my report first. The other thing I wanted to mention was providing information about the position. In relations to that, for ODHH, it is indeed our responsibility. We want to ensure that we are not leaning on your personnel to do that responsibility. As we understand, it is the responsibility of ODHH for the portal. We do understand that we have different obligations and responsibilities, and we will help throughout this process to get that done, especially now that we are getting the staff that is needed. Whenever a new staffer is
Brought on board,
hired.
we will let you know, such as Diamond.
And also, if you guys have any questions and would like to meet with me, I am running open hours. And that will be on Wednesday, August 28th from 5 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. And I'll be emailing that link out to you
Can you
all.
repeat that one more time? August what?
Jacob, that's August 28th from 5 to 8 p.m.
Thank you. Appreciate
Eastern
that.
Standard Time. I try to be flexible with the time period, and that will be in the evening that I'll be providing that time. And Tania will continue with you all as far as regarding any updates that are needed regarding the board meeting for this evening as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you all. ODHH here.
I see a hand, Jacob. Richie was first. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even paying attention. Sorry, my mistake. Ashla, first and foremost, thank you for your report. I appreciate it. Richie, you've got a glare happening. There's, all right, 1 second. Let me adjust for that. Yeah, it's just you're glowing. Yes, okay.
We're going to go ahead and switch interpreters.
Okay, interpreters ready? Okay, again, I want to thank you, Director DeBerry, for your report. I do have a few follow-up questions, if you don't mind indulging me. So as a board, we feel it's very important to have information related to the budget for operating licensure in the state of Maryland. We want to make sure that things are moving appropriately, and that is, of course, why it was codified as part of legislation. So what is your game plan, so to speak, as it relates to reporting and submitting reports to help us understand the budget? What does that look like? Director DeBerry.
Thank you for your question. Thank you, Richie. That question was already answered previously. You all should have the, any assistance?
Okay, so you received the original operating budget, and of course, we're doing some calculations to figure out how to break that money down, and we have answered it, and I'm not going to reiterate it. I will turn it back to, I will ask Tania to share that with all of you. So I'm not going to answer that this evening because that's already been addressed at previous meetings. Could you go ahead and repeat what you just said last time? Because Paige wasn't there and she might not understand your reference from 2 months ago. So if you could just briefly summarize your report from last time as it relates to the budget, please and thank you.
Again, it will not be repeated.
Okay, if we could hold for 1 second. Ethan, yes. Okay, I want to, for the purposes of clarification, the budget, there's still a level of confusion, excuse me, as it relates to the budget. The board does not, can you adjust, Ethan, I'm so sorry, could you just briefest of brief adjust? Thank you. Okay. So all the activities are going to come out of a specific designated fund. That fund is separate and distinct and independent from ODHH's operating budget. Okay, so it is a completely separate fund. If you need information about the State Board of Sign Language Interpreters Fund, I'm sure, I don't know if that funding has already been dispersed or not. Thank you, Ethan. And that's exactly what we've been emphasizing. There's been a lot of runaround, and we're asking very clear, distinct questions. And maybe the language was not understood in print, or maybe I'm not being clear, but we specifically have emphasized several times, we want to know where is the $100,000 that was allocated for this fund. We keep being told that we don't need to know. We've never asked about ODHH's operating budget. That is not part of our purview. We are talking about the money, the board's money that is codified in law, the money that is there to stand up and operate the sign language interpreter licensure board. We are talking specifically about that funding, okay, that $100,000. Where is it? Has it been released? We have no knowledge of that. We have no understanding, and she is refusing to communicate and answer our questions. That to me is not helping us have confidence in the office because you're refusing to communicate with us. We are trying to move forward on our own, doing it in the dark. And there has been a complete disconnect when it comes to communication. And I feel, frankly, that we're being punished. So that's exactly what we're asking Ashurla. Where is the funding, the $100,000 that is designated to operate this board and to operate this program?
I will again mention that I will not be repeating that, but I do have available open door hours. You're more than welcome to contact me then, and I will share with you what is needed.
The question has been posed now.
It seems like you are still not satisfied with the information I have provided.
We have
There's no
not
more that
received
I
any
can provide an
information.
answer for.
Your statement is you have no budget. That was the statement we received. That's all you said. You have no budget, which is very confusing to us as a board. We just want to know, hey, where's our money? That's all. That's all. We want so badly to work with ODHH. We really desire to get this thing moving. And we are just facing barriers and roadblocks every turn. And yet we are trying to move forward as best we can. I'm sorry, Leslie, please.
Hi, I think, yes, it's very important for the community. There are many community members who are very looking forward to seeing it. It's very unfortunate that it's the first line of communication. It seems like it's not successful. As far as interpreters, the deaf community, different agencies, there's just a number of people who really are, well, we're trying to support their concerns essentially. And we're serving here on the board and we're here for the community members. There are so many different organizations and agencies, application processes, etc. And it's very important that we inform them of this process. We want to emphasize to them, to everyone right now, that we have requested that information. And it's important to emphasize that there is law regarding public community information.
Community representation, such as BIPOC, so forth and so on.
And that budget is specifically part of our investment as to how we are going to support the program. And we're actually not understanding what we're allocating the funds for. What are the costs for a number of things? And so that is actually what we're requesting the budget for. The purpose that we're requesting that is just, you're saying that you're offering office hours. But technically you're forcing us to kind of adjust to your office hours when,
which are a violation of the Open Meetings Act.
it should be accessible to our rights right now. So we have requested multiple times for our budget, and that's what we're requesting, period. We don't feel like we should have to keep asking for that information. We have been involved with every meeting. There's a board of 6 people, and we have already requested where the budget for the money is so we can get everything started moving forward. Of course, everyone is watching, and we're just here to support the community members. So we're here to do our work, and we're just asking, where's the budget?
Which brings us back to the original question, where is the $100,000 allocated to run the board?
I want to be clear that I'm very aware of your questions, and I will go ahead and repeat myself. The Governor's Office of Deaf and Hard of Hearing, we are not working alone. You mentioned that our office is working alone. We're actually working with the Attorney Assistant General.
Chief of Staff.
And there is funding, and I will go ahead and follow up and share with you all what was shared with me, the information that I have been shared with me and what has been going on. There is an open meeting, but that does not.
My office hours are not in violation of OMA. Okay. Whoa. Time out. Could call the meeting to order. Hold one person at a time, please and thank you. First of all, this has nothing to do with the Open Meetings Act. We are simply asking you a question. Where is our $100,000? The law very clearly articulates in very simple terms that ODHH will, through the comptroller's office, serve as a fiduciary of sorts. So we're just asking, where's that $100,000? Is it still housed within the comptroller? Is it in your purse? Where is the $100,000? That's all we are asking at this point.
So at this point, it has become actually not appropriate to respond to you in this moment. And I've decided to be done with this.
Okay, please hold 1 second. Okay, Director DeBerry's not move forward with this conversation.
I'll go ahead and move with Tania.
Okay, so 2 questions from the board, and then Leslie, it'll be your turn. First of all,
I want to be clear, I'm not accepting any questions tonight, but I will have open door hours.
Director, again, I never received a copy of your report. So this is the floor is open right now. So I do have two questions, very quick, simple questions. First question for you is ODHH in favor of this law?
That's not an appropriate comment.
Okay. Second question, is ODHH willing to work with the State Board of Sign Language Interpreters, or you continue to throw up roadblocks for us?
I already mentioned that we are currently not
I'm
working
not
with alone,
I
and we do
understand
have
that.
other
I
team members we're
understand that. You
working with.
constantly are speaking about the fact that we're supposed to be working together and that we're working in tandem and that we're working collaboratively. I mean, we have been trying on a consistent basis to reach out and to communicate because we are appointed by the governor to execute the duties of the board as codified in statute. And we have requested repeatedly and gotten repeatedly barriers at every turn. So my question is, are you willing to work with
We
us?
actually need to move forward in the meeting.
Is that a yes or no? I'm unclear.
We should not take this meeting out of context. It seems like you have a obligation that I am not here
So
to
you are
support you, but
supporting the
that's
work
not
of the
what
board.
this is for this meeting. If we could stick to the meeting information on the
It is
agenda
on the agenda.
and what the board is responsible for, I understand I'm the director and what I'm responsible for. I already explained that I will follow up with you, and we are currently not working alone. We do have a team that I do have a team working with me who will follow up. And when I get that information, I'll be willing to share that with you. Of course, I'm not holding everything in my purse, as you just mentioned. That comment you just mentioned is actually not appropriate. As far as the Open Meeting Act, you did bring that up. We did already address that. And I'd just like to move forward to sticking to business and the agenda.
Okay, so again, there were two simple questions, and that would restore so much confidence in the board if you were willing to just say that you were in favor of the law, that you were a staunch supporter of it, and that yes, no question, you are willing to work with the board. And the fact that you will not answer those questions is very telling, and we will proceed with the agenda at your request.
Yes,
Any other
please do.
questions? Because
Unfortunately,
Director
I cannot
DeBerry says
answer.
she's not accepting any more questions, so bear
Yes,
with me
hi, I have
until
a
I check.
comment here. Just want to recognize we identify as deafness the same. And so I need your eyes. I really just want to explain that we are not working alone here. We are working with a number of teams,
If we could call to
the
order for a second,
Governor's Office
I'm
of Deaf and Hard
offended
of
by your
Hearing,
comment. Excuse me. I'm offended. Excuse me.
and I
Ex-
already acknowledged that I will follow up with them. And then I am finished my commenting
All
now,
right.
and I will
That
allow you
comment is
comment.
offensive. Okay. I have nerve damage in this eye
All
and
I
I don't have
simply
any
asked
peripheral.
was you
Nope.
to look
Nope.
and get your
Excuse
attention.
me. I'm speaking. I am legally deafblind. I cannot see out of this eye. So do not speak to, your identity. We have deafblind people in this room. So please,
I recognize that and
be
acknowledge that.
careful with your language and cited privilege. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So
All
I
right. You
just
can
simply
excuse
asked for
yourself.
your
Let's move
attention as
on.
I was
Okay.
making a comment, just to get your full attention.
Director DeBerry's asked that we move on. Jacob had his hand up. So Jacob,
I simply asked for your attention to give me the same respect as I give you when you make comments. And I just want to respect the business of the
she said
meeting.
she was
And
done.
I'm currently asking to close the meeting.
What? I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
I am requesting your attention as I am making comments. I did not intend to offend you. I was simply asking for your attention as I was responding back to you. And I would just like your respect as you give me eye contact as
You said you did
as
not
I'm
want to answer any more
communicating back
questions.
to you. We have a DI, we have certified interpreters, we have CART, we have a number of resources. And so I do recognize that there are people who are deafblind here as well. But the point I actually want to emphasize is that I'd like to just move forward in the meeting and actually come to a close because we need to have equal respect within the meeting of each other.
We're ready to move on. If the board's ready to move on, I don't think it's necessary to table the meeting.
All right, I'll go ahead and close off my camera for now.
Okay, Leslie, you had a question and or comment?
I just like to make a comment. I think it's very important again for the community. I just want to emphasize we as a board have decided to meet. And what our meetings have been looking like have been meetings and follow up with updates. The board members cannot talk about business, especially in this meeting. So for
except in
us
this
to act,
meeting.
except in this meeting, so especially for us to be able to ask questions, especially to the chair, many of you actually do not respond to our questions. And so we're never getting any updates on the information that we're trying to follow up on. So I think it's very important for the community as well, not to kind of succumb to the Office of Deaf and Hard of Hearing, but just to understand that we have a right to ask these questions in the meeting. And if you're saying you're not sure,
I don't know who Heather Nelson is, but I see her comment in the chat asking if we have business to conduct. I recognize that, but we are conducting business. We are asking some very clear, explicit questions that the community has been coming to us with. And I just want to emphasize you. Thank you for allowing me to make a comment. Chair Suggs. Board recognizes Jacob.
yeah, I just wanted to ask a question about if we're doing the Open Meetings Act, if we're addressing that.
Okay, we have a lot of work to do, so we will circle back to that. I think it's pretty clear what the problem here is to everybody. We are still extremely frustrated with the lack of information related to our fund. Okay, we really do not care about ODHH's budget. We are speaking specifically to the State Board of Sign Language Interpreters Fund. You can see the response we received from Director DeBerry, and we've gotten a lot of community feedback on the lack of, frankly, everything from ODHH. We have received copies of letters from the Potomac chapter of RID, PCRID, expressing their concerns about the lack of transparency on the part of ODHH, as well as the lack of diversity in the complement of the board. I spoke with the president, Shannon, help me, what is Shannon's last name? Morrison. Thank you, Shannon Morrison. To ask if anybody from ODHH responded to her letter. She said at the time that we spoke, nobody had responded. And I will let Richie speak a little bit more about this in his report, but the Maryland Association of the Deaf also sent a list of concerns to the state and to other entities, which we received a copy of that. And to date, it seems that there has been no tangible response other than, well, I'll let Richie go into more detail about that. In addition to that, I have gotten a myriad of emails expressing concerns about what just happened tonight as a prime example of the type of challenges we're facing. The board is voluntary. This is one of the negatives, you know. We are working for the state on a voluntary basis. We are at the mercy of the state, so to speak. That being said, the community can speak up. They have that right and that ability and that autonomy. We have asked for official job descriptions for all of the 4 employees that are going to be hired under ODHH to facilitate the interpreter licensure board. Now, you saw the comments from Director DeBerry that we don't need to know about personnel matters. We, again, just to clarify, we would just like job descriptions so we have an idea of what the State Board of Sign Language Interpreter staff's roles will be and how they will be interacting with the board, the percentage of time that will be devoting to board-related business. For example, Director DeBerry has not yet introduced, but we have a new outreach. What is her interpreter coordinator / interpreter coordinator? Her name is Tania Brown. Hey, that's her sign name. I don't even know if she's here, but apparently she will be working with our board, which is fantastic. She's been great so far, but what percentage of her time and duties will be devoted to us has not been clarified for us. And that's a question that I wanted to ask, and I have not, as of this time, gotten a response to. Apparently, she's hired a new administrative assistant. We're not sure if that new administrative assistant, who we just found out about at the beginning of this meeting, is going to be doing any work focused on board business or whether they're just going to be solely supporting ODHH in their mission. So there are 4 positions that, according to law, are codified to support the board. Deputy director or something to that effect, a compliance officer or something to that effect. Help me with the third one, outreach coordinator. And there's one more, assistant something, right? I'm looking to everybody. What is the 4th position? Anyone? Okay, there are 4. And again, we want to make sure that we can amplify the message of advertising those job postings to the community. We have not heard anything so that people can apply, of course, and we have not heard anything. Leslie, did you have a hand?
I think it's also important to emphasize that of those four positions, and the requirements by law is that each role has to have a specific duty and assign for the board. And so for that information, it has to be an official job description posted on the website. However, we have not received any formal job description for that position. And we never seen any advertisement posts for that as well. We were told that there were just two people who were hired. So we had no information prior to that about the host or what the process looked like, and what their roles and duties were or for their job description. For the state of Maryland website, that information was not posted. That position was not posted.
Okay, we're going to have an interpreter switch. Okay, Paige, you had a question or a comment? Board recognizes Paige.
Yeah, I just have to say that this is a little bit concerning as I'm watching this dialogue being shared between the board and the Director DeBerry, I believe. It seems like there's a lot of breakdown here. And I'm just wondering how we can figure out a better, smoother, efficient communication style. Perhaps we can respond to Director and request that the report be
Submitted in advance to us.
and that way the board can actually communicate with the director in advance prior. But it seems like perhaps that was attempted and there was no response. So I'm just trying to figure out how we can better fix that relationship.
That's a great question, Paige. I think what it all comes down to is we asked for a copy of the report so that it could be attached to the minutes. Jacob, who's, also uses the transcript as a way to document the minutes and take notes. He's also taking notes in real time. It's a lot of work. So we were hoping to have the reports ahead of time so we don't have to be redundant in our questioning. And that, of course, was included on the agenda. Now, there's been a lot of confusion. We're trying to make things more streamlined. This is typical protocol, operating protocol for many boards is to have reports in advance so they can be attached. Okay. And not that they would be followed verbatim. I did send my report ahead to the interpreters. Okay. One of the interpreters anyway, not the other interpreter, but I just sent it out ahead of time so that they can also adequately prepare. So all that being said, I just want to make sure that that's clear in terms of what our process has been up until this point. Oh, real
But the,
quickly, Paige, and you were copied on that email as well. You did receive a copy of that
oh, I
email,
see.
just so
I'll
you
double check
know.
that. Yeah, I'll double check.
Absolutely. And I think it's also incredibly important to emphasize that everything that I have said tonight is not coming from me in a silo. Okay, I am representing the board as a whole. Every comment I make is based on feedback I have gotten. I'm just curating and compiling it. So please do not think that I am, as an individual, targeting Director DeBerry. This is a conglomeration of the board's concerns and information that's been shared with board members via email. The amount of communication, okay, is we try to over communicate, and the amount of communication we've received from the community is staggering. Also, Director DeBerry has already placed a protocol for communication in place in January or February. I have to go back and look at the date. She set some protocols for communication. So I was simply following those up until this point. I am very much a rule follower, those of you who know me. So that's where we stand as of right now. I would like to segue back to our agenda. So we do not at this point have information on those positions for the State Board of Sign Language Interpreters. We also have no information on our fund, aka/budget. We also, Richie, Leslie, and who else? Paige, I'm
Paige,
sorry. I'm looking, have no access to our share drive. And as a result, they have not been able to keep up with participating in making revisions and edits and so forth and so on. Okay, I already talked about PCRID and MDAD and their respective letters. Okay, and all the other emails and concerns that have been shared with us. Director DeBerry has already mentioned the website and the portal. We were supposed to meet, I think, on a weekly cadence. Isn't that true on Thursdays? Jacob, correct me if I'm wrong.
Director Barely did explain that it would be a weekly basis. However, that was changed. it was changed. There was a link that was sent out. It was sent out to us for a 2-week meeting. And there was supposed to be some feedback on that, but I'm not exactly how the feedback process looks at this point.
Also, I want to, oh, I'm sorry. Did I miss? Oh, board recognizes Richie.
Yeah, I just want to add a comment related to Jacob's comment. Just recently, I want to piggyback. Director DeBerry did send out a link for access to see what the portal actually looks like. However, we have actually not gotten that information. We are actually very curious to see what that looks like, but we have yet to receive that.
Okay, and I'll let Leslie explain to your point, Richie, about not having a state email, so you can't access that portal when that link comes out to test it. It's 7 o'clock already, so we do need to finish other things on the agenda, but Leslie will circle back and speak a little bit to that. And please hold me to that and remind me if I forget. I also want to apologize to the community who has tried to reach out to members of the board. Yesterday, I got between 12 or 15 emails that were forwarded to me, some of them from the 5th of August, that far back. Okay, and I did not receive these, I want to emphasize, until yesterday. So the previous staff had agreed that they would forward us emails within a 2-day time frame, anything that they received that was for us. Okay, so ODHH, we'd like to ask them that any SBSLI emails be forwarded to us within a 24-hour period so the board can respond in a timely manner to the community's concerns. If the community wants to reach out to any of us, my email is trudy.suggs@marylandspelledout.gov, or you can reach out to any member of the board. Only 3 of us have State of Maryland, maryland.gov emails, but please reach out to us and we will respond in a timely manner. We believe in 100, actually 500, 5,000% transparency, to be clear. So please feel free to reach out to any one of us with questions or concerns you may have. Okay, do we want to talk about the emails now, or do we want, Leslie, do you want to report about the email situation, or do we want to go into
Yeah, I
committee
can be very
reports?
brief.
Okay.
All right, I already mentioned recently that there were 2 or 3 of us, Director DeBerry, myself. Excuse me, there were a few people who did not have access.
Paige, myself, and Richie don't have state emails.
And Director DeBerry had mentioned that we would not be getting that. So there's a DOIT, DOIT, the Department of Information Technology, who I did reach out to regarding email. I did give them a call the next day. I do have a recording of that phone call from that person. They did explain that all of the emails from the past are called on something called Workplace. And it's separate from the DOIT Center. And so they are creating all of the email addresses, and
They DOIT is not responsible for creating those state addresses for us. That falls under workplace. So again, it says that we are prohibited from doing any type of operations or business as members of the board without a state email. And Director DeBerry's, I'm not exactly sure what their title is, assistant, 2 people from the ODH office said that they have the ability to create email addresses so that we can access all of the board related information, and that wasn't true. So we've got a lot of conflicting reports. So I think it's important to emphasize that 3 members of the board have not had any access ever. Therefore, 3 of us, because we do not have state emails, have not been able to speak to anything related to the regulations that are on the shared drive. First we were supposed to have an email, then we asked for an email, we were denied, and we told it we could operate through personal emails. Then we found out that that was actually incorrect. And then we've gotten several different stories as when we request an email. Okay, so really 3 people, when we say as a board we are working, only 3 people are working because only 3 people have state emails and therefore can access all the information. Okay, I'm looking at YouTube and there's a lot of people on YouTube. We're encouraging the community to look at some of the previous meetings for context because there's a lot of talk on YouTube and a lot of comments. So you can go back to the previous recordings to make sure that you have all the context and know what's being said. Are we ready to move on? Okay, I'd like to ask ODHH to please close the YouTube comments that we had agreed upon in terms of protocol 3 months ago, because there's a lot of comments coming up and we'd like to close that out. All right, good news. The board has finished the creation of our seal. Took 2 hours. Finally got the information from Tania today and or not today, I'm sorry, my apologies. It was 2 days ago, yesterday, this week. Sent it on to the appropriate parties, and within 2 hours, we have a seal. So the seal is done, state designed and created, and it will be approved, and it will be stamped on all licenses. So we can check one of our board duties off the list. Jacob.
Yeah, just have a quick question, if that's okay. I'd like to motion that.
Do we have to make a motion to approve the seal? I missed what you said. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking.
No problem. I was just wondering if we need to make a motion to approve the seal.
We do not. Nope. It is a pretty state standardized seal. There's no need for a
Sounds good.
motion. It's done. So we can cheer crossing one thing off the list. We reached out for what, 8 or 9 months? I don't know how many months to get the appropriate information, and we can check it off our list. And we're really excited about that. All right, moving right along. Bear with me. As it relates to the web portal, it is our understanding that all applications, forms, etc., will go to ODHH via the web portal. And then ODHH will be responsible for curating those, vetting them, making sure they meet all the requirements. Then they will be forwarded to the board. And we, through an online electronic medium, will approve. Now, the board is already concerned about staffing under ODHH and whether we have the necessary staffing to enough staffing dedicated to the sign language interpreter licensure board to handle the amount of applications that we expect to come in. And we can't answer that question because we are not getting any answers ourselves. Okay, now I wanted to get to the regulations portion of our agenda. Are we ready to speak to regulations? Now, as of just this morning, I got an email from the AAG's office with some additional revisions. Now, we had been working on a different version in the drive, but that's okay. I was able to do an assimilation of the two. So we'll go through them pretty rapidly just to give everybody an idea of what we're going to be doing. I want to thank all the people whose work was pretty diligent in getting this done. August 9th, which was a Friday, until Monday. So we've worked pretty much for a week straight getting these edited, getting these wordsmithed, getting these in compliance and fleshed out in entirety. Jacob, board recognizes Jacob.
Yeah, I'd just like to, first of all, thank the working group, the educators, for legal, medical, all of the different entities, and all the revisions that were made, all of the language that we worked on. We received so much, and going through this process has been so tremendous. So I just wanted to first off say thank you to the working group for leading all of your work and commitment. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time this evening as well. Trudy, Sue, myself, the three of us.
Okay, so in terms of procedure, should I share the screen momentarily so we can go through them very quickly, or what's the pleasure of the board?
Yeah, I'm not sure I have the updated one.
Okay, sir, sure. Okay, I want to make sure I bring up the correct document. Can everybody see that? Is that better? I just want to make sure everybody can see that. Why did I have to take my screen down? I'm sorry. All right, this should be it. Is this better? Can everybody? All right, first thing I want to speak to, and I don't know Ethan is going to be part of this conversation or not. So if Ethan could come on screen, please, and thank you. Thank
Hello,
you so
I'm
much.
here. Yeah, I just want to let you all know, I am allowed to be involved in this discussion, but as far as the regulations, that will be after the meeting.
And I cannot give legal advice in real time during the meeting. Okay, so first, I want to express our appreciation for the AG's office and their hard work on this. This really was quite a heavy lift, so we appreciate all their help in editing. Oh, I think Leslie, okay, Leslie's gone off screen. Okay, so the first thing, okay, see the strike through right here? From what I understand, the board does not fall under ODHH. We work in tandem with ODHH. So a little bit of a nuance there. So we're going to strike within the office. How do we, board feedback, anybody? One of the most opinionated boards I've ever worked with, so I'm confident that everybody has an opinion on this language. Leslie, yes. First, I agree with moving that language because the law states that we work in collaboration, so we are not within the office of ODHH. We operate alone, but ODHH requires support and is required to provide us support technically, but we don't fall within them. I think Sue is talking, so bear with us. Let me get Sue on screen. Sue? Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree with Leslie. Since we're not partnered with ODHH and we're not under that entity, it should actually be identified as separate. And I think, is it being supervised? If I'm speaking correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong with this. But SBSLI is considered.
We fall under the auspice of the governor, correct, Leslie? We don't fall under ODHH. Yes, we do work in collaboration with ODHH, but we are governor appointees, and it should be a strong collaborative relationship. Yes. Board recognizes Jacob.
From my understanding, as far as the law is concerned, if I remember correctly, ODHH does provide support as far as staffing. However, no,
So we
sorry.
should remove it?
No, I think it's fine.
All right, are we all in agreement to remove the struck language? Okay. Now remember, everything that we do now will have to go through the AAG's office again, just to make sure that we are in full compliance. Okay, so we're in agreement to remove that first struck language. Okay, now down to number 4. Same thing essentially.
Looks fine.
Again,
Hi, this is Ethan. Just want to give forewarning. Perhaps there's still some comments from my office to advise a few things to be removed and some things that can be kept. But there are some comments from my office, okay? Just wanted to mention that.
there are some comments that we also need to keep privileged before it goes out to the public. Hold on 1 second, please. 1 second, please. 1 second, please. I'm looking at the captions because they cannot see anything. Okay, so everything that's being said nobody can see online because we're sharing our screen right now. I don't know what to do about that. That's ODHH's responsibility.
I see.
And did they turn off the comments? How do we off the comments on YouTube? Hold on, let me stop sharing. Okay, okay. I want to respond to the community. I know you can't see us while we're sharing the screen. Okay, hold on. The chat. There's not too much we can do about that in terms of the tech. I don't know if we should just keep sharing the screen and then stopping and then sharing the screen and then stopping. In the past, we've brought the screen up and taken it down. Jacob, do you have a suggestion?
Yeah, it's just that as far as the comments are concerned, it's just that if we can just move forward and accept, um, I
And then
just
we
want to
can
identify,
talk
we
about
can,
the language. Ethan, can we get some clarification?
yeah, it seems like that might be actually a good idea to go ahead and accept all revisions. You can go ahead and go back.
Okay, at the conclusion of the meeting, okay, let me hide all comments because again, to Ethan's point, we want to keep some of the comments from the AAG's office privileged and not have them shared with the community. We are also having an access team switch at the moment. Okay, a little bit of confusion. So you want me to go through the regs but hide the comments? Am I clear on what I'm being asked to do? Or am I accepting all what? Okay, well, how do we want to do this? Leslie,
Yeah, it seems like for now, like the comments are turned on, but before they were on
captions are
YouTube.
on.
So as the interpreters are speaking, they can go ahead and read, or for those using receptive can go ahead. But the captions are on, so you can go ahead and move forward. As far as the hearing interpreters, I guess as long as their captions are there and ready to see.
Okay, so since the captions are working on YouTube, okay, looks like, okay, I just saw that comment come up. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. So, meaning so that we're gonna now go ahead and go through the regs, or should we just go ahead and move to approve all the changes to the regs, and then we'll work with the AAG's office separately for the final revisions? Jacob,
Yeah, I make a motion that we go ahead and add what is needed and mostly just focus on this language for now. And then we had go ahead and submit the things for clarification for all as we have
okay.
right now.
So your suggestion is notice of just doing the wordsmithing. Do we agree with Jacob's idea? Everybody? Okay, so we'll do that. And there are two or three other pieces not related to the working groups that we need to make edits on as well, like the waivers, so forth and so on. So Jacob, do you want to go first? Or Sue, whose working group do we want to cover first? Jacob,
I mean, fine. Okay, I'll go ahead and do the legal portion. I can go ahead and share my screen.
do you have the regs up on your screen?
One moment.
Richie, I think you have the old version, possibly. I sent you the new
Yeah, I
version
can't see
today.
them.
Yeah, I sent you the new version today.
Was it via email?
Around noonish, I think I sent it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and get checked now. So for the legal track, I was responsible for that, and I'm going to go ahead and go down the different levels. There are four different levels related with interpreting. Level one is considered the basic, and four will be the higher advanced interpreting, like high level freelance or interpreting, excuse me. We're just requesting to identify what level one and two would look like as far as work, what type of legal work would be acceptable for those two levels. We've already added the language for level one for it to be an individual certification, like for example, the BEI or
Just to let you know, the recording stopped. Okay, Are we still live streaming?
It stopped.
Okay, please proceed.
Yes, so where did I stop? What was I mentioning? Anyway, I'll go back and start again. As far as the legal track for interpreting, we have decided there will be 4 levels. The first level is like basic interpreting, and it will go up to a higher level register.
Fourth level would be any legal setting.
We first need to identify what type of legal settings for each level would be appropriate. For example, level 1, that person must be certified nationally or the BEI, either one. Have a number of years of experience interpreting and must
Mhm.
have some type of supervision via level 4 in order to interpret.
Level 1 interpreters are required to work with a level 3 or 4 interpreter.
For the next level, certification or BEI is required, a certain number of years of experience, and can be alone in any legal setting, court, therapy, treatment, are in those type of legal settings. Level 3 is in any type of legal setting with supervision of a level 4 and level 4.
So,
Yeah, Tania. Yes, Tania has left. Oh my God.
okay, so who's coming on? Okay,
The Office of Deaf and Hard of Hearing is actually managing the recording.
okay, so it seems every time ODHH leaves the room, and I don't know if that's Director DeBerry on that particular account or Tania, I'm not sure, but when they leave the room, apparently it shuts down the recording. So we need that account to stay open and stay in the room. Thank you. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Where were we? Jacob? Where were we? Okay, continue, Jacob, with your explanation.
Should I start over and go back or? Yes, I was explaining about level 4. They are able to work in any legal setting. They are able to renew licensure.
To renew your licensure,
There are a number of CEUs required.
1.6 CEUs are required.
1.6 for every year, every
This
2
is
years, excuse me.
required biannually for levels 3 and 4.
I think that's all for now. That's all related to legal track.
Okay, comments?
Are there any comments? Richie Bryant? Seems like he's reviewing it.
It looks like he's still reading. Everybody reads at different speeds, and he just got the most recent version, so let's take a minute.
Hey, Richie, do you have any questions or comments related to the legal track?
Yeah, I do, but I'm still looking at it, and it's taking me a minute to process.
Would you like to review and discuss this later?
Yes, please and thank you. One challenge is that, again, you don't have access to our shared drive for the State Board of Sign Language Interpreters where the file is housed. So I can send it to you, those files individually to each of you after this evening, and then well, no, let me think about this in real time. I was thinking that you could add comments and then send it back to me, or we can meet one-on-one virtually, and then I can deliver your comments to the shared doc, something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's possible, maybe for Trudy, is it possible for Richie to join my working group, perhaps? Uh,
I don't see why not.
a few people. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
go ahead and add you to the working group.
Please do. All right. Okay. So we have delayed this a little too long. We really need to get some forward momentum on these regs. They need to be finished, frankly, by the end of this week so they can be delivered to the AG's office. We were hoping to get them to him yesterday. We really want to get through this evening so that we can forward those on.
Sure.
I mean, we're all feeling the pressure. No question. No question. All right. And we are working with that administrative support, with the exception of the support we're getting from the Assistant Attorney's General Office. So I don't think it's really transparent how much work is being done. So okay, thank you, Jacob. Sue, do you want to go next? Mine's quick. Do you want me to go, or do you? Mine is really quick. So you feel free
It's
to go.
completely up to you.
No, you tell me. All right, well then I'm going. Okay,
Okay, go ahead.
real quickly. So for the medical working group, I don't have much in terms of changes from the previous iteration. Bear with me real quick, everyone. Okay, so the medical working group developed language for this portion of the regs. The only change is, let me find it on my screen. For level 1, which essentially means the least experienced medical interpreters, they can work in non-surgical medical settings, dentist office, diet nutrition clinics, home health care, occupational therapy, optometrists, physical therapy. Oh, bear with me. Outpatient clinics, short-term and/or long-term care facilities. Okay. That being said, we've had discussions within the working group. Some of those settings fall somewhat between a 1 and a 2 level of skill. For example, let me give you a scenario. If we're talking about short-term or long-term care, it might be something insignificant, but that sometimes there are cases where it's really intense in terms of the medical need and change of life that it could possibly pose. Those who have finished training in medical interpreting can be in those settings. So essentially, in good faith, we are going to have to trust that the interpreters will use their discretion to recognize if they're not qualified for a job and speak to that. So like I mentioned, good faith. Okay. And we will talk more with the AAG's office whether it falls under level 1 and 2 and what we should do about that delineation specifically. Now, for level 2 medical interpreters, they can work in all settings except, I'm sorry, they cannot work in surgery and any level 1 setting they can work in, as well as orthopedic settings, primary care, and urgent care. For our level 3 interpreters, they can work in any of those previous mentioned settings, as well as acute care facilities and surgical settings, and any other really essentially level 3 interpreters can work in any medical setting, period. And I saw a hand, however, one thing that needs to be redacted, the AG's office put in behavioral health and medical, and their overlap there where we want to designate a distinction between the two of them. However, one member of the working group feels strongly that they should be aligned. There should be overlap between mental health and general medical. So I'm going to have some conversations with Leslie because I believe she's the lead of the behavioral health group. So for now, we're going to remove behavioral health, that language. And these regs are only going to apply to traditional medical settings. Later on, if we feel we should have separate regs for behavioral health, we can add it under this section later. But for now, we're going to remove the behavioral health piece. So that's the only other change. And I see no, Richie does not have a comment. Never mind. Okay. There was another change and it was, bear with me, I believe it was a suggestion. Medical, hold on. I need to find the exact verbiage. Bear with me. It had to do with years. Okay. So to be a level 2, you must have 20 hours of continued education and 3 years of experience interpreting within 5 years. Before it was 3 years and we increased it to 5, basically meaning, if somebody takes maternity leave or whatever reason they step away. So 3 years of experience within the last 5 years, 5 working years. Okay. And then for level 3, again, that increases and you can see that all listed within the regs. Yes, Sue, we're going to turn it over to you.
All right. I am leading for Educational Working Group. Give me 1 second. Let me pull something up. The AG office asks for our group, what kind of training would be needed or be equivalent to a degree? We decided separate categories: college, work, interpreter experience, professional development. We went ahead and emailed the group and we apologized for the short notice on that. Because unfortunately there was a short deadline for that. And so we want to thank everyone who was helping and participating in that and your feedback. So we all decided, well, excuse me, let me go back. Of the three, there are three different ways to present your education: a bachelor's degree, or an AA or a BA, or an ITP with supplement. And then for
A portfolio
lastly,
documenting all your experience and professional development.
the language says AA degree for a portfolio. And so we just suggested that we add a bachelor's degree to that language. So, and I believe that's all. So it's fairly similar to the version we had before, except for those two alterations. Adding changing the AA degree to a bachelor's, and then also having the list of categories for the portfolio. Is there any comments? Did I miss anything? Sound good?
Perfect. Fantastic job. Okay, so at the conclusion of this meeting, we're going to make those final edits, send them on to you. And once we get everybody's feedback, those folks who haven't been able to access it, we will send it on to the AG's office. Just to clarify, do we make a motion to approve the regs as revised? Ethan, could you provide us some guidance on that one? Ethan, help us.
Um,
I don't want to wait till the October meeting to approve this, so that's why I'm asking.
It actually depends on if you all want to make any more revisions.
Substantive changes to the content.
You can go ahead and vote to approve the revisions. Once I have it, the AAG's office will review it for legal content and for any modifications needed. If no content is needed to modify, we'll go ahead and send it to
review from before publishing in the regs. Hold on, we've got one more part and I'm looking at a few different things. I want Ethan to hold on 1 second. We need to talk about the waiver. Jacob, board recognizes Jacob.
Yeah, we did already have a meeting to approve those revisions back, the language back in the beginning of August. So will we have to go through that process again?
Okay, so on the 9th, I sent 5 things that needed to be added or clarified. Okay. So that things work smoothly with ODHH. So those changes, okay,
I see.
are happening tonight. And now there's some more revisions.
Thank you so much for that clarification.
All right. So last meeting, Ethan, we had a discussion and agreed to remove the waiver. That we will not be dispensing any waivers as of now. Okay, this was at the last meeting, but I noticed your office put the waiver back into the language. So what exactly, what does that mean?
Yes, the reason as to why my office advised that because of
The legal
the
statute.
legal statute, the regulations, it's open up to possibilities for interpreters to apply for licensure and then also in others, but have the state board decline that and not approve that. So
So we added the neutral language of may, okay, because we don't want them applying for a license in another state and then being declined for our board. Do we need to make an access team switch? All right, Ethan went off screen. So we will leave the waiver for now. We will look over that part and then we will resubmit it, excuse me, to Ethan. So if we go ahead and to his point, make any substantive changes, this is going to delay the process.
yeah, so Ethan made a comment about the word may and adding that in. We're fairly flexible with that. I think it should be fine leaving that there.
All right, we need a motion to approve, please, and thank you, Leslie.
Yeah, I motion to approve the regulations for the AAG to adjust that language,
Okay, I need a
to modify
second.
that language.
Okay, Richie beat your page, sorry. So in favor of Leslie's motion to accept the regs as edited with the potential for a few minor clerical edits from the AAG's office. Show of hands. Sue, are you in favor of that? Okay, motion carries. Richie, board recognizes Richie.
Yeah, I motion that we request ODHH to submit a monthly budget report.
Budget meaning funds, status
Yes,
of the
excuse me,
funds.
excuse my language. I mean funds. Every quarter, quarterly reports.
Okay, Paige is seconding your motion. So those in favor of Richie's motion that ODHH submit a quarterly budget status report to the board. Who's in favor of that? Okay. Starting immediately or starting, I mean, it's approved. Sorry, motion carries, but I'm assuming starting immediately. All right. I want to suggest we've already had a conversation that we need to make 2 changes to the bylaws. Okay. And those were sent out to everybody. Those 2 changes in particular is the state board on sign language interpreters. It should be of. So, and then there's another change. Bear with me while I bring that up. So changing the on to of in our title and hold on. Yep, changing the on to of and then changing 2 of the roles. Bear with me. Okay, I found it. Okay, so 2 changes. The first, on being replaced with the word of, okay, just in the header. And then there's one article. We want to change the word mileage to travel. Okay, we cannot reimburse with the exception of very specific things. Okay, so specifically mileage. The paragraph, this article talks about travel. Now, there's 2 other large changes that we need to talk about whether we're going to leave or whether we are going to modify, and I'm flexible. The role of the secretary is pretty robust, and we don't currently have a secretary. So I'd like to change the language so that it is, how do I say? If we as a board choose to do so, we can appoint a secretary. Right now, Jacob is kind of functioning as both vice chair and de facto secretary. So, and the second is parliamentarian. We should have a parliamentarian. So we have been operating according to Robert's Rules of Order up until this point, and I can bring them up if you want to.
Hi, yeah, two things. If I read the rules of the position for ODHH, they will be hiring one who will be person who providing note taking. So it would not need to be included separately because is included in the position description.
Okay, so the board decided back in was it January or March's meeting? I don't know. The decision was made to keep everything internal. The sense was that how there was a little bit of a disconnect. We wanted to do it ourselves, essentially.
Okay, sure.
So I think as a secretary, we can hold on to that to the next meeting just for the sake of time. But I think, and I can bring it up on screen. Jacob?
Yeah, I want to go back to the comment about changing mileage to travel
Oh, it's already there. It's
and
already there.
for the Secretary in
Yeah,
Parliament.
we're removing. Actually, let me show you. That
Oh,
might make it
sounds good.
easier.
Thanks.
Bear with me. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, so do we change it to travel? Do we leave it as mileage? I really have no no strong feelings either way. It talks about travel expenses. So should we change it to travel expenses?
Sure.
I mean, we're talking one or two words.
Hi, this is Sue. I have something quickly.
Let me take a look at that. Sue, yes.
Yeah, so the law is using very specific wording for the travel portion, and I think it's only payable for mileage. I think that's for now what the law indicates. There's
Yeah,
very specific language about that.
we can definitely talk about it more later.
Okay.
Okay, I need to turn that off because it's really, it's really distracting. Okay, so those are three things that we can touch base on the next meeting, I think. Okay, so back to the on and of page. First motion, if you could make that for us.
Yeah, I motion to exchange the wording from on to of and the heading and the header of the bylaws.
I need a second, please and thank you. Second by Richie. Those in favor of Paige's motion that we replace the word on with the word of within the heading of our bylaws. Those in favor, show of it, Richie. Yes. Okay, great. Motion passes. All right. Last, before we move on to public comment, and then we conclude the media, before we talk about social media, Jacob.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question.
About OMA. Ethan, yes, if Ethan, can you join us again, please?
Hello there. Hey, Ethan. Quick question related to OMA. The Director DeBerry presented those hours from 5 to 8. And as a board, my understanding that we cannot,
Operate as a board of a whole due to the Open Meetings Act. So we couldn't all be at those hours. So the question
so that,
is, go ahead. So to clarify, whether Director DeBerry's open door policy is a violation
yeah,
of
I
the
just
Open
want to
Meetings
ensure
Act,
we
it would
don't
depend. It would depend on the
violate that. Thank you
situations.
so much for
Yep.
clarifying that.
And I want to make sure that most of us have been trained. Has everybody been trained on OMA? I just want to make
Yes,
sure
we've
everybody's
completed that.
completed that training. Okay, great. All right, I'm Going back to my agenda. Okay, so public comment, everybody received that last night. It was rather late, and we've responded as best we could to all public comment. Questions we received are, where is the registry? Where are the regulations on the registry? I think we got 5 or 6 emails from Frederick County Public Schools specifically with concerns. Seems that their educational interpreter community in Frederick, where I happen to live, seems to not be updated on our progress thus far. So I encouraged all of them to reach out to their representative on our educational working group, which is also on our website. Of course, we've had a record number of requests, and the record is held by Frederick County Public Schools, certainly. So a lot of whom were my former students, so I've responded to a lot of them. And we've also gotten a lot of questions as it relates to what are the regulations? What do they look like? Some people haven't yet had the opportunity to look at the website in quite some time. The last information was from the town hall meeting, which was in April, and we've done a lot of work and made a lot of substantial changes since then. And a lot of folks are concerned about the lack of communication. They want us to be sending out regular emails, apparently, or posting things on social media. And we had to apologize that we're not permitted to do that. ODHH has full control of any outward-facing communication. So we are trying to figure out other avenues that we can communicate to the community with. Oh, show a hand.
Leslie here. I just quickly wanted to add, if we can go ahead and jump back to another situation where we did actually request, we on the board, we did request general public address, like SBSLI at Gmail or at Maryland.gov or something like that, just so it'd be a direct contact to us. And it's not a specific person, but and it wouldn't be like it could be an automatic message saying just thank you for your response, etc. But I think it's very important for us to request again a very neutral line of communication so that moving forward,
And also, since our board members will change over time, it's nice to have like a neutral, generalized email where the community can reach out to.
that way we can catch up to all the questions that we had before and have access to that, and then also have an appropriate response time where community members are not constantly waiting too long for our response.
Yes, Richie actually shared the same concerns about also archiving some of those previous emails to maintain that institutional knowledge. That's why we have a board manual and we want a designated email address. You might have seen I've requested several times for an SBSLI at ODH from ODHH, and those requests were denied. Jacob and I have looked at some other state level boards that are equivalent to our board, and all of those boards have a general email that and really a board liaison. Most of them have that, and we have yet to get a response. And you saw we've asked repeatedly since what, March? I don't even know how long we've been requesting that, since July or June at least. You came on board then. Yes. So up until this point, and the request has been consistently denied. So I think at the very least, we should have an SBSLI at Maryland. Director DeBerry mentioned that a factor was cost, but I have no idea how much one email address costs in terms of price point. I don't know. So we just have to continue reaching out. Richie.
Yeah, this is Richie. I'm gonna, as far as communicating with the community, it does impact that.
Okay, so is there any other way, any other avenue or strategy for how we can communicate with the community? One idea might be making videos. The board could take turns making some videos in ASL, and we can post them on our own social media as well as ODHH. We could send them on to ODHH to post for us. We could post them ourselves independently. I want an email list personally, because not everybody has time to watch videos. I'd rather have a listserv. I think that's more efficient. We could do them both in printed English and in ASL. I'm open to ideas. Or Leslie, go. Leslie, and then we'll
Yeah, I
see.
think you already kind of mentioned about the email address, but we can go back to that again and also request the ODHH put it directly to the for the community so they can consider Of course, we can't satisfy responding to all emails. However, like using social media, what does that look like? We can kind of check in with the community. So that's just a suggestion I want to put out there.
Okay, Jacob, thoughts?
Sorry, this is a little off topic, but something I've been considering for some time now, since April. Are we going to have another town hall, maybe in the fall, like September, or anything like that? So that way we can just update the community on what's going on so they
With the
can all
regs.
know what the regulations and what's being available to them. So I'm just wondering about a town hall so we can be able to have providing that information out to the community, like the updates.
Okay, again, we don't have any information, but my understanding is the outreach coordinator is supposed to be setting up a series of town halls and doing outreach. Hold on one second. The outreach coordinator, yes, is supposed to be setting up an outreach campaign, essentially, that was supposed to start this past summer. Am I wrong on this one? Correct me if I'm wrong.
So there are two parts to that. The licensure for legal interpreting, ODHH is responsible for the town hall. One for their own quarterly town hall updates of information related to their operations, et cetera. And then also one of the four is hosted is our
Board to
town
meet and
hall.
focus on our campaign.
My assumption,
Okay, so yeah, so they should be in tandem. Okay, so we have a board meeting in October. Am I correct about that? Anyone? I forget. I can't remember the exact date in October. But I'm wondering, can we have the town hall prior to that meeting for a specific time frame? Remember we had a conversation about having a town hall meeting in Salisbury, but we postponed it because we wanted to complete the regulations
yes, I
first.
do.
And again, there have been so many edits, a lot of surprises along the way, both good and bad. I'll leave that for you to decide. Yes, Sue, you have a hand up.
Yeah, my concern is that more about the area of Maryland is a little bit, it's like Southern Maryland, Eastern Shore, Western Maryland. They kind of seem to be lacking a lot of information related
Agreed.
to the law. And so I think if we can just kind of step it up and especially with our communication out to the community, I think we do need to do more. I received an email recently that said that interpreters were not prepared at all for,
The law. And now it's August.
and that's going to have a very tremendous impact on the community greatly. And so the concern is just simply about the local areas here in Maryland being having access to that information regarding the law, especially for the community. It's very important.
Absolutely, Sue. It's so troubling that we are not getting information out to the community, particularly those rural areas, to your point, and also to the deaf interpreting community. They are asking. So, um, I'm asking you, what's the best way to get the word out? We're going to have to compensate for the gaps that, frankly, are not being done for us. Did you have your, was there another hand there, Sue? You want to
Oh,
add
me
something
too?
else?
Yeah, sorry. No, um, sorry, I lost my thought. I apologize. Sorry about that. Oh, I remember my thought. I got it. Sorry. So, anyway, the local area of interpreters, we lack so many interpreters locally, and many of them are actually not certified as well. And so it's very, very concerning. Very concerning. Just wanted to
Of
emphasize
course,
that.
of course. Another huge concern that we've received via email from a lot of folks is questions and concerns about if somebody can't meet the requirements. Remember, we do have a provisional. There's a provisional option. In addition to that, we have that 6-month grace
Oh,
period.
I didn't realize we had a provisional.
Yes, I mean, the majority of people are unaware about both of those two facets, which is really important for our outreach coordinator to really make sure that they're getting the word out and emphasizing that. That's why I'm wondering how much time their duties are going to devote specifically to the state board. So we want to make sure that we're cognizant of time. We need to wrap up. I want to share one last public comment I received that I have shared out with the board already, but I want to share with the community in general. And I received it from, bear with me once again. So concerns were shared about interpreters who are approaching retirement. And essentially the comment states that these seasoned interpreters who are within sight of retirement, would they be given an exception or an exemption to the required license if they're going to retire within the next 3 years? Can they just use the 3-year provisional? Or would we reduce the time for them? The feeling is that this senior citizen group of interpreters has been overlooked in this process, and that these senior citizens interpreters have dedicated their lives to the deaf community, and they feel that, again, they're being overlooked and not accounted for. And the lack of consideration from the board to address this senior citizen population has been recognized. They're asking why we're not talking about this particular demographic of interpreters who is close to retirement age. So that's something for us to consider. From what I understand, those who would have a provisional licensure, if they achieve, again, provisionals for 3 years. So suppose they get certified within that mid-year, the impact, would this impact their licensure fees? That's what the question is. Meaning maybe we could consider that for our, not even senior citizens, but anybody who decides to retire and leave the field and they have 2 years left. What do we do about that price point? Or maybe we do it on a case-by-case basis. Okay. So that's one important comment that I received yesterday. Okay. Anything else before we adjourn the meeting?
This is Leslie.
Leslie.
This is Leslie. I just quickly like to share that we here on the board are the board is really trying to get all the information we can about the bill, about the law, and how everything is going as far as operations. And so it's very important that we have all that institutional history there. So we're not doing double the work and trying to get everything together. We need to be able to see the post from ODHH about the position, and the deaf and hard of hearing community can also be able to see that and see what's going on. So especially with this new law, and it's been a pretty long time since we have kind of been, it's been what, 13 years now? It's not like it was 13 years ago, excuse me. And so I just wanted to close with that last comment.
No, absolutely. That yes, that's definitely part of the purpose. All right, as I think out loud, anything before we close? Since we are not getting the answers that we really need, what should we do moving forward in terms of forward progress and momentum? Honestly, I'm not sure what to do from this point forward. I'll be completely frank with you. We know there's a lot more undercurrents than what can be shared on camera, but I don't know. Richie, do you have any ideas?
I necessarily don't have an idea, but I would like to have each representative, AAG, ODHH, a representative from the board, someone from government legislature, also that we can come together and maybe come to an equal medium. There is going to be a tremendous impact, clearly. And with all that we have done thus far, especially regarding the community, there hasn't been quite a lot of responses to the questions we have. And so I think we need to get that moving and consider those things.
I agree 5,000%. So, and I want the whole board to be involved, not just myself. I do feel targeted. I'll be completely honest. continuing to emphasize that I am not communicating with the board when I am. So I do want to restate one more time that this is a board level decision. I'm not making this decision in a vacuum. I just happen to be facilitating the conversation. So I agree. Like I said, 500, 5,000%. I reduced it from 500 to 5,000. I should have stayed with the 500. Anyway, we just want to see this law come to fruition. We want to see it be successful because it impacts everybody who's on screen right now. All of us, our children, our partners, everything. We have deaf interpreters on the board, our deaf interpreters who are here, the other interpreters. It impacts my children. It has a ripple effect. And I'm going to get off my soapbox, but how do I say, I want us to figure out how to move forward with, be it the limited access that as a board we currently have. And I can just remain optimistic. But I agree with your idea, Richie, no question. Board recognizes Leslie.
Yeah, and also we as the board can decide for a session if we feel we can't communicate via email, and because of course we don't have a state email address, we can't do business, we can't have access to see anything. Of course, we should host our own meetings to kind of see what we can get done, and that means that it'd be taking more time, requesting interpreters, etc. But we're going to have to host a lot more sessions to have this discussion. That's another option we have.
I think we can have up to 4, 3, 4, 3, 7, math. Okay. So we can certainly, I mean, we've accomplished a lot. The community might not see it, but we've accomplished a lot in terms of the seal, the bylaws, the regulations, so forth and so on. We really have done a lot. And I'm proud of everybody's hard work and the work of the working groups. So we're going to continue to communicate with everybody. I will try to have the minutes drafted by next week. Does that sound good? So that they can be posted. The next meeting will be October, help me, 9th.
9th.
Thank you. 6 to 8, same time, same place. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you being here. Meeting adjourned
Meeting
at
adjourned.
8:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you,
Perfect.
everybody. And thank you to our
I'll go ahead and
access
stop the
team as
recording.
well. Janice, Jimmy, Ryan, and Anna. Thank you, everybody.